Next, it's everyone's favorite video game discussion show. An all-new GameView starts right now.
Welcome to GameView for February 2018. I'm Scott.
And I'm Roxie.
And here we go yet again for another exciting episode talking about the latest announcements and news in Nintendo Land. So what have we got this month, Roxie?
Not much, you know? For the month of love, you would expect, gaming to have like a lot of love, a lot of news, but really only have 4 things. We have the launch of Bayonetta 1 and 2 on Nintendo Switch. We have the announcement of the Splatoon 2 Starter Edition, the My Nintendo points change and how Nintendo will be going about distributing them, and we have the Pokémon Switch localization rumors going around.
Okay, so let's get started with, I guess, the only really interesting video game development this month, Bayonetta. So I know you're a big fan of the series. What do you think about the Switch ports there?
I think they're really well made. It's really exciting actually having Bayonetta on the go, because now if I'm in the car I can just sit back, relax, chill with some music on, and really the only music I want to hear when I play a Bayonetta game is Bayonetta's music, because it's so good, and just perform all the combos that you can do in the game, because there's countless combos that you can just perform while using the Fantastic Witch.
Now, I don't really know much about it myself, but I know you were super hyped when they announced Bayonetta 3 coming out. Anything specific you'd like to see carried over from 1 and 2, or?
I want to know if they're gonna do more with Loki, because he was just sort of, for a majority of Bayonetta 2, he was just sort of there. And he did have a really important role at the end of it, but I just wish there's more that they could have done with him. But if they can't, oh well. I'm excited that there's an actual Bayonetta 3. Because the way the Bayonetta games just leave off, they leave off in such a way that it's like, well, I guess that's the end of that. And so for them to just announce Bayonetta 3, it makes me really, really excited on what they plan on doing.
Alright, makes sense. Another key thing to note for Bayonetta fans, apparently there is a bundle discount going around, so the original Bayonetta on the Switch goes for $29.99, Bayonetta 2 for $49.99, but if you get both, you can get them for $59.99 total. So I guess that helps the pocketbook a little bit there.
Well, doing it that way is basically the same way as buying it physically from like a GameStop or a Walmart, because you're getting both games for $60.
Makes sense. Alright, so other than that though, anything else you want to bring up on this topic?
The little Easter egg that's in the Switch ports with a message from, I think it was Rodon, that he leaves for Bayonetta, and how she was in Super Smash Brothers on Wii U and 3DS. It was just really cool. And it makes me wonder, what do they have planned for Smash Bros on the Switch, and if Rodon will be in the game?
That's a very good point. Guess we'll have to wait and see on that. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on that. As you can tell, not by any means an expert in the Bayonetta franchise. So, yeah, moving on. Next topic of the night.
That would be the Splatoon 2 Starter Edition. So Nintendo announced that in March, specifically March 16th, there will be a Splatoon 2 Starter Edition that will be coming out that comes with the full game, a 100-page Splatoon 2 strategy guide, and 2 sheets of Splatoon stickers, all for $60, which is, you know, the same price as the game, which is a really good deal when you think about it. And then they also announced that later on this year, we will have a Pearl and Marina Off the Hook amiibo coming to stores.
So here's my question. Why did it take them so long to release the Starter Edition? I mean, it feels like the game came out a year ago almost.
Well, I can't really say why, but I do know that it took them a while to actually make some kind of edition like this for Breath of the Wild, because they didn't release a strategy guide bundle immediately. People had to wait for a good couple of months. So maybe it's because of that. They're just sort of biding their time a bit and wanting to see how well the game was accepted, and then they went and did this after seeing how many people were already playing it.
I guess it sorta makes sense. I mean, considering how they continually are releasing free updates for Splatoon 2 every other week, it seems. Unlike Pokken. But yeah. The odd part, though, that kind of throws me off is that, according to Amazon, they discontinued the Special Edition Splatoon 2 Pro Controller. Which is kind of a downer, because you would think that, you know, considering how the game really hasn't been out for a year yet, I mean, you know, at least keep producing it, but...
Actually didn't know about that. Because I was considering buying that Pro Controller, because having a Pro Controller would be really nice if you have a Switch and you plan on playing Splatoon 2. Like, it really helps a lot.
Yeah, you might want to get on that soon then, because, yeah, as soon as these things get discontinued, usually the prices skyrocket, knowing how this stuff works.
Oh, it was discontinued by Nintendo, I guess. Which is a big shock.
A little bit off topic, but I really hope that they come out with more designs for the Pro Controller in different colors. Because one thing I would love to do is get, like, you know, I don't know, like an all-red Pro Controller and an all-blue one, or just something other than gray, which is very boring.
Yeah, I feel that, because, like, even with the Xenoblade Pro Controller, you just had the 2 colors, or technically 3, I guess, and it was just really meh.
Yeah.
But Nintendo's not all that good when it comes to getting colors right and on things people want.
Well, here's hoping. I mean, they are releasing the Joy-Cons in different colors, so, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. Okay, so up next, this is, I guess, the most important announcement in this episode, the change in how My Nintendo works, right?
Yeah, I'm still really iffy on it. Like, I'm not too sure how I feel about it, because basically they're changing up their entire system. But I'll let you... I've been talking about everything so far. I'll let you handle this one, Scott.
Alright, so here's where a little bit of mathematics actually come into play in order to calculate this stuff out. So, up until now, the main gripe about the My Nintendo Rewards program has been that you, for the most part, can only exchange your coins for discounts on games that they happen to list on the My Nintendo website. Most often than not, I mean, you could argue this back and forth, but most of the time, you know, the discounts weren't really worth it, as opposed to buying, let's say, a video game on Black Friday or something. But what they're doing now is they're actually changing the program so that starting in early March, whenever you buy a digital game, either on the Switch, Wii U, or the 3DS, you will actually earn 5% of the value of that game in gold points. And then you can, in turn, exchange those gold points on the Switch's eShop for an actual discount on buying a digital game title from the eShop itself. So, I guess just to give you a bit of an example, sort of comparing the way it used to be to the way that it's going to turn out in a couple of weeks. So here's an example here. Right now, let's say, for instance, you buy a first-party title at full price MSRP, which is $59.99 US. So essentially, if you were to buy that game right now digitally from the Switch's eShop, you would be getting 50 gold points on the My Nintendo Rewards program. With the new setup, instead of getting 50 gold points, you would get 5% of $60, which is actually 3 gold points. So you might be thinking to yourself, you know what, this isn't really worth it, because, I mean, you're getting a lot less for your money. But at the same time, I guess it depends on how they work the redemption feature. My assumption, and again, I'm just coming up with an example here, but this is what I think is going to be the case. You're probably looking at something like a 5% return on the investment. So, as an example, if you were to redeem 3 gold coins, that might end up being something like a $5 discount off of another Switch eShop title digitally. And likewise, if you buy a physical game, a physical cartridge for the Switch, you'll actually earn 1% of the total. So again, if it's a $60 game, instead of getting 3 gold coins, you would only get 1.
That's a lot of math. A lot of math.
Yep. So again, I mean, it's sort of half good, half bad. I mean, it really depends on how the redemption system works, but I was mentioning this to you a couple weeks ago, Roxy. I mean, I don't think they're gonna give you more than 5% back anyway. So, I mean, it would be fantastic if you could buy a $60 game and you would get, like, I don't know, $10 or $15 back in terms of gold points, and then, you know, it would sort of make it easier to go all digital instead of buying physical cards, but, you know...
Well, if it was like, let's say you got 10 coins back, or what was it, like $10 back from buying a digital game, using what you just said, buying 6 games digitally would let you get 1 game free, which would be pretty neat.
Yeah, that would be nice. What I think is going to happen, though, is you're probably looking at something like close to 10 or 12 games, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, we've seen this from Nintendo before, unfortunately. You know, back in the Club Nintendo days, things were a lot better, and then when they switched to this initial, you know, 20-30% discount, that's where things sort of slid downhill, but yeah, who knows. I guess, aside from that, though, is this going to change the way you buy your game cartridges, or not really make a difference either way?
I don't really care.
Alright.
I'm just gonna buy my games and play my games.
Keeps it simple, I guess. Alright, so, other than that, let's get to the next point of discussion.
The Pokemon Switch localization rumors that are floating around.
Alright, so you'd better start off on this one here, Roxy.
Oh boy. So, according to, I believe it was Insider Pixelpar, the Pokemon Switch game is it's in the phase of European localization that is set to be finished between April and June. Which, given that time frame, it's very interesting, because that would possibly, if the European localization is done in, say, as late as June, right? We look up E3 for 2018, that would be June 12th and June 14th. It would possibly lead on to things that, where we could see some actual news about our Pokemon games in at E3, and then have them release either, late 2018 or 2019. But this could also turn out to mean that if they're done later than E3, we won't see anything until maybe August or October. And then we'll see something, or then we'll be getting the games, say, maybe not even January, maybe February or March of 2019.
I guess it makes sense from that point of view. I mean, again, keep in mind, everyone, this is just a rumor, so we don't know 100% whether or not it's true, but, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, on the one hand, it does have some sense to it. I mean, knowing how quickly Game Freak can pump out these core titles, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that we would see something at perhaps E3. But if it is true, it sort of, again, leads to what I was saying last month, where I really hope that they don't rush this thing out, because, I mean, as some of you guys may remember, I was talking about this, there was a lot of pressure on Game Freak to get this title out by Q4 of this year, mainly as a holiday title, and reason for which, I mean, obviously, we're still waiting on, like, something big to come out this year. I was hoping that they would take some extra time, put a little extra polish and finesse into it, and, if it ends up going into 2019, then I'm fine with that. I mean, I'd rather wait and have them do this properly than, just rush it out for the sake of saying, hey, see, we don't really have any other first parties, so yeah, we're gonna rush out Pokemon. What do you think about it?
I just hope that whatever they have planned, they go back to what they did with Black and White, where they give us a new Pokédex, and it'll make us have to relearn all these new Pokemon types, because that's what I felt like. That's what I felt why Black and White and Black 2 and White 2 were such strong titles, was because of the fact that they had a brand new Pokédex. Now, granted, Black 2 and White 2 had Pokemon from older regions show up, but they still primarily use the original Univadex. And that's why I feel like those games are a lot stronger when compared to Diamond and Pearl or Ruby and Sapphire, or shoot, even X and Y, because we know how poor the X and Y Pokédex was compared to past generations.
I don't think we need to bring that one up again.
And so I hope they can take their time creating something new. Something where they're not just reusing fan favorite Pokemon.
Somehow, I highly doubt that, because with the recent trend of what's been going on, especially with the movies, I just have this feeling we're gonna be in this reboot phase again, where it's all about focusing on the usual, Charizard and Blastoise.
Well,
and,
if we're gonna be in a reboot phase, then wouldn't it make more sense to go for the black and white route and reboot the entire Pokédex?
It would, but, I mean, if the current trend of the movies is any indication, then... And I'm not speculating on this at all, so please don't shoot the messenger or anything here, but, yeah, I really hope they don't take the route of, you know what, we're just gonna reboot Red and Blue and, start off from scratch again in Kanto, and it's like, yeah...
That would be the last thing I would want, is a Red and Blue remake.
Yeah. Now, I did want to bring up something else that I thought I should mention, because I feel like no one else is really talking about this regarding the way the Switch handles game data, and I know I brought this up to you a couple months ago, but just keep in mind, people, obviously, when they do come out with the Pokemon title for the Switch, obviously they're gonna bring over the bank app, and that way you can transfer your Pokemon and all that. Just keep in mind that Switch game cartridges don't store save data on them. So this is very important. You do want to get a micro SD card, because the last thing that you want to happen is, let's say your Switch stops working, or, it falls and breaks, or something happens to it. The way it is now with the 3DS, like, if my 3DS broke, I still have all my Pokemon and all my save data on my Sun cartridge. But with the Switch, I mean, since all the data is saved either internally on the Switch's memory or on the SDXC, if you don't have the SDXC and the Switch stops working, there goes all your Pokemon.
I do want to bring this up since you mentioned game data. I'm not sure how many people are aware about this, but if typically when you play a Pokemon game, main series Pokemon game, you only get one save file and that's it. And I think that's been across every single Pokemon game. For the Switch, if you have multiple accounts on your Switch, you can have multiple save data, which means you can replay it without having to start over on your main file. Which this could bring some massive changes to how we get our Pokemon games now as well, because this could mean we will only be getting one Pokemon game instead of two, and we won't be getting version exclusive Pokemon. This is nothing concrete, but it's a possibility to keep in mind, given how the Switch uses its data.
That actually brings up one other point then, too. So, again, we aren't fully, in the know regarding the Switch's online service, but is it per account?
What do you mean?
Well, if you sign up for the Nintendo Switch Online service, it's not tied to the console, isn't it tied to the user ID? So if you had, like, multiple users on the console and each one had Pokemon save data on it, each one would need to sign up for the yearly online service.
From what I know of how the Xbox One and PS4 does it, if you buy it for one account, it works for all across that console. So if I were to buy like PSN Live or something, or PSN Plus or whatever it is, on my PlayStation 4, I would be getting it for any extra account I put on there.
Okay, let me just take a quick look at it here, because...
And I know that Xbox One has this thing where, let's say you've got two Xbox One consoles, and let's say Xbox One A is the home console, or it's the console that you set as your home console, and let's say Xbox One B is one you keep at a friend's house. If Xbox One B has an account that's linked to Xbox One A, and the account that's on B has A as the quote-unquote home console, the Xbox Live that you purchase on Xbox One's A account will be shared on Xbox One B.
Okay. Yeah, I would hope that's the way that it actually works, because I thought I read something earlier that it was user-based, but hopefully they go the actual console route, because that would be a massive pain if you have to spend like $20 for each person just to connect online with, you know, the save data and all that.
Well, it would kind of make sense in a way, because for Xbox One and PS4, you're paying $60 for a whole year for the entire console to go online. But for the Switch, if you're only paying like $25 for a whole year, it would sort of be like a rip, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I do want to give my apologies to some of the countries that will not be getting the Switch Online service right away. Sorry, Australia. But, I think the UK is included as well.
Australia got the Animal Crossing mobile game like a month before, like a good few months before anybody else did. They can handle not having it online for a month or two.
Yeah, I think it's time we get something first over here. So basically, just to remind everyone, the countries that are getting it at launch, that'll be this September, US, Canada, Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, and Peru.
Basically North America and South America.
Pretty much. Alright, so, I think that covers everything that, we need to talk about. Was there anything else on your mind then?
Tomorrow, which is February 24th, I will be doing a 24-hour live stream just to celebrate becoming an actual Twitch affiliate now. It'll start late on the evening of the 24th and go on all day throughout the 25th, which is gonna be that Sunday.
Okay, and where can people find you if they want to tune in?
Twitch.tv/TheJestersRoom. It'll be me and my friend Travis, who I've done videos with on my channel before, and it's just gonna be fun. We're gonna be playing like a lot of different games, a little bit of Persona 5, maybe some Super Paper Mario. You might see Pokemon Coliseum Randomizer on there. So it'll just be fun, and if you guys can stop by, that would be super chill.
Alright, sounds good. So on my end, really, I think that's pretty much it. I just hope the rest of this year goes a little bit better here, because I know Arlo was mentioning this, it just seems really slow for the Switch at the moment. I'm waiting for another game to come out to get. And that's it, we're done for tonight. Remember, you can get the latest announcements and updates on your favorite TOONDISE programs by visiting the all-new TOONDISE.com. Also follow us on Twitter at TOONDISE, #GameView. And if you enjoy what we're doing, you can show your support on patreon.com/TOONDISE, and also by hitting that like button. Until next time, I'm Scott.
And I'm Roxy.
We'll see you later.